the 2019 Ferrari Portofino. Guys, this car came out in 2019 and it has quite a bit to offer. We're going to talk about that. I'm very, very excited to go for a drive in this thing and share what this car is like. I flew all the way back to Charlotte, North Carolina. For those of you that watch the channel, this location might look pretty familiar to you. I had to move to Florida for a new job promotion that I got. And, well, I have never seen one of these out on the road, ever. And this came out in 2019. And so I was like, okay, you know, what's wrong with this thing? Is it just like no one wants to own it? Are they super rare? To be honest, I mean, Ferraris are not common to spot out on the road, but this one is very, it's very distinguishable. Like the front end of this, mentioned this in the other video I made with this, but it doesn't look as Ferrari-ish as you would think. It looks like a little bit like a Jaguar F-Type R in the front. The side view is absolutely gorgeous. Let me close the door so we can get the full view of this. Look at that. Obviously, this is convertible, a hardtop convertible. So at the top up, you wouldn't even know it's convertible. It looks just like a coupe. And this is the perfect spec Ferrari, guys, as well. The red and the yellow carbon ceramics front and back, gorgeous back end as well. The back end and the side are just very signature Ferrari, but the front, for me, it's taking a while to like, it's beautiful, right? But it just, I don't know, it's like the C8 Corvette situation to me. But then step in this interior, guys, and oh my gosh, it is pure, true Ferrari. Now guys, obviously it's a Ferrari, it's a phenomenal car, but I'm not gonna hold back on pointing out any flaws. Like, did you see on that startup, little bit of it seemed like the system lagged. This is a $200,000 car, and so I am going to hold this to the standards of perfection. I have a lot to say about it. Again, I think the exterior, I have no complaints on the exterior other than if you are a hardcore Ferrari fan. I would say anyone in that bucket would complain about the front end of this car, so had to mention that. Let's go and put the seatbelt on because, well, that's going to be pretty important here. And when you are ready to drive your Ferrari Portofino, this is obviously an exotic car. It is a Ferrari, and so the things you need to do to engage driving and parking is the same. So no gear lever, no drive button. Instead, you pull the paddle shifter in order to put it into gear as indicated. You see that 1 in the gauge cluster there. Get some AC going because it is very, very hot. There we go. And guys, very quirky stuff, not only with putting it in drive and parking it, obviously, but like, for example, if you want to adjust whether the airflow hits the windshield, comes at your face, or goes to your feet, it is going to be very hard to see, but you press this and the little arrows light up depending on where the airflow is going. So the attention to detail, and again, the quirkiness of this car, if you haven't been in an exotic car before, this still gives you that exotic feeling, without a doubt. Let's go ahead and get moving here. And as a heads up, guys, we're working with just over 590 horsepower and just over 560 pound-feet of torque. 0 to 60 of this thing's 3.5 seconds. Now, if you're wondering, whoa, almost 600 horsepower, but 3.5 seconds, shouldn't it be faster than that? The thing does weigh 3,669 pounds, so we'll talk about that. First, let's actually just do let's do a 0 to 60 test here, even though we are a little bit uphill, and see what we get. There we go. Put the miles per hour in there, and 3, 2, 1, go. A lot of tire spin, and we are working with all-season tires as well, by the way, so if you are going to be driving this thing a lot more sporty, then you're going to want to put Michelin Pilot's Sport 4S's on here. This car isn't really geared towards all-out sportiness. And that is a big thing you have to realize when you step in this car. Don't get me wrong, you can drive it as such. That is insane, absolutely insane. So like I said, you can drive it as such, but you'll notice when you put your foot to the floor and you're like, you know, pushing this thing as hard as you can in the turns and the corners, you notice, shoot, there are cars that are as expensive or even less expensive than this that give you a bit more confidence in acceleration, in braking, in cornering. The Portofino is quite a bit more geared towards the grand touring spectrum, you know, on the spectrum of like where a car is at. I am more of a fan of cars that are like tracky. I will eventually mature, grow up, you know, maybe like have a family, kids and all that, and I won't want to drive like an imbecile anymore, but right now I do, and I love doing it. And so I enjoy the track side of things. I just want to say, if you are hopping in this car expecting a supercar feeling to it, you're gonna get a lot of that, but you're not going to get all of it. And what I like to do with cars before I actually you know, review them or learn about them is just experience it myself. And when I hopped in this thing, first of all, there's a serious lack of content online with this car, so didn't really have much of a reference with what this thing was going to be like to drive. But I hopped in it, and yeah, I was a little disappointed with the driving experience. But then I came to just get a feel for it, driving it on all different types of terrain, and learned that driving this thing in the mountains with the top down, that is what this is for. It is for, you know, curvy roads, absolutely. It's just not for hitting an all-time high or all-time like fast record in terms of going on a track or doing a back road route. So just don't expect that with this thing, but do expect an ultra comfortable, very, very sporty, grand touring, exotic car. I am hesitant to call this a supercar. The 488, I'd call it a supercar. The Huracan, I'd call it a supercar. This, it's kind of like the Aston Martin DB12, how they invented the term, what was it, super tourer? It's not a grand tourer, it's not a supercar, it's a super tourer. This is just like that. So this has a 7-speed dual clutch automatic transmission. If you do get the Portofino M, that is a step up over this car. You get an 8-speed dual clutch automatic transmission and an extra like 18 horsepower, or actually I think around like 21, 22 extra horsepower, because it's 612 in the Portofino M and this has about 591. Not a substantial jump up, but the M gives you an option to put this thing in race mode. This just has comfort and sport, more adjustable settings. You have a better exhaust. It is faster, more exterior modifications to make the thing, you know, more aerodynamic and a bit more track focused. So at least if you want a Portofino, but you are upset this isn't as track focused as you'd like it to be, you have the M as an option. Which, guys, if I were buying this car, I feel like that's a must, to be honest. Because when I pushed this thing really, really hard on curvy roads, the one thing that I was missing was it wasn't tracky enough. But it is grand touring enough, it is comfortable enough, it is luxury enough. It was missing that extreme side of sportiness. Now, as for the adjustable settings down here, again, an actual bit of a disappointment. Comfort, immediately the suspension softens up. I mean, immediately you can tell that the road just got a whole lot smoother. Switch it back into sport and you feel a lot more of the bumps. It is a lot more of a rough ride in here. Like that was pretty harsh. but no change to the steering feel. If there is one, it is not substantial enough to notice it. No change in exhaust note. No noticeable change in throttle response or power. Most cars, that doesn't actually change the power, but that is a bit of an upset. Definitely a bit of an upset. There's a lack of change switching from comfort to sport, and also kind of a lack of adjustable settings. Just comfort or sport, good and bad, right? It's simple. So that's where, and I've been borderline cut off a lot while driving this thing. By the way, this car does get a lot of looks. It does get a lot of attention. It is beautiful, absolutely. It is a work of art, especially with the top down. But yeah, again, when I'm thinking of a $200,000 car here, even like a C8 Corvette, it has a more responsive. Look at that lag. Look at that lag. I'm serious. I'm going to be picky because of how much this car costs. The C8 Corvette, like on that infotainment system, you wouldn't have that. In the C8 Corvette, you have way more adjustable drive modes. I really hate to be comparing a C8 Corvette to Ferrari Portofino, two different caliber of cars. Yes, this is way faster than a C8 Corvette. C8 Z06, though, that car feels faster than this. It feels wrong comparing a Ferrari to a Corvette. But guys, I'm holding this to the standard of the price tag they're charging. The bit of an upset for me with this car is part of it feels like you're buying it for the brand name, right? A C8 Corvette, not a lot of people are going to care when they see you on the road. This, I had a Lamborghini Huracan that I drove past. I recorded him, and then I saw him recording me. I was like, oh, wait, I'm in a Ferrari. Like, this is special. And so it's like, after you drive this thing, it almost feels like, would I buy this kind of just for the Ferrari status and prestige? Or am I driving this or buying this for the drive? And with the way it drives, I would say you're buying it a little bit more for the status. If you're seriously buying this over like a C8 Corvette Z06. That transmission is very, very quick to respond when you press the paddle shifters. What is very cool about this as well, and I feel like all Italian cars have this, is depending on where you shift throughout the RPM range, something different happens. Like, you heard that shift right there. No, like, pop or anything, but watch this. You go between 4,000 to 5,200 RPM, and it makes a very, very nice pop. So I like when you have a car, and like as you spend time with it, you start to discover like how to use it, how to play that musical exhaust instrument, how to properly launch the thing. It is it's nice to like, this car does still have personality to it. Again, it's just, I would have expected more from Ferrari. I definitely would have, despite this being their entry-level car, I'm comparing it to, again, cars that are significantly cheaper. There's some areas where this thing really does lack. It certainly does not lack in its pickup, though. It is incredibly fast, but also incredibly smooth as well. Like, you don't you don't realize how fast you are accelerating. I mean, you feel the G-forces, right? But with how smooth this is, again, being a little bit more geared towards a Grand Tourer, it's not, it doesn't give you that insane, like, aggressive, like, shaking feeling, nor does the exhaust, because the exhaust is not that loud. They did upgrade it over the California because that was a complaint with the California, that thing just didn't have enough exhaust personality to it. This has almost enough. I think this would be great for like an older guy who's done driving crazy and just wants to enjoy a back road cruiser with the top down on Sundays. Doesn't want to really piss off the neighbors when he starts up his car and drives out of the neighborhood. This is perfect for that. If I own this, sound is a huge part of the experience. I would like to hear more of it. And so if Ferrari would allow, I would want to upgrade the exhaust. But oh, Ferrari, trying to like maintain ownership over people who buy their cars, telling them what they can and can't do with their own cars. That's one thing that does suck about this brand. But when I talk very positive about Ferrari and then people say that, they're like, yeah, but you don't even own your car if you buy it. It's like, obviously you do own it, but second, you still have to respect and appreciate the heritage, the quality of Ferrari. These are very quality cars. They are reliable. They are beautiful inside and out. They are ultra fast. And again, some of the complaints that I'm making, I'm only making them because it is a Ferrari. Ferrari, if you want a luxury car, you really, that's what Bentley and Rolls-Royce is for. So I was just shocked to see, you know, Ferrari kind of like move a little bit in the direction of being like soft, if you will. Lovely GoPro, always dying towards the end of the video. But as I was saying, it's a bit of a softer car. Take that for what it is. Is that a bad thing? Not necessarily. It's just don't go into this expecting a full-on Ferrari. That's not really what you're gonna get. You're getting I'd say 75% Ferrari, 25% Bentley / Rolls-Royce type of feeling to it. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know if you disagree with any of the points that I made, by the way. I'm always open for counter arguments as well, but appreciate y'all for watching. Many more videos to come, obviously, and I'll see you very, very soon in the next video. Before I leave, by the way, one very weird thing I've never seen in any other car is this thing will actually turn off before you come to a stop. So you're rolling at 4 miles an hour to the stop sign, and it shuts off with the auto start stop. Very weird. But on that note, see you guys. Thank you for watching. Peace out.